Oh, hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. Thanks for starting your weekend off right with Nerdy by Nature. While you're listening, feel free to crack open a craft beer. Sit back, relax, have some fun. Did you hear about our website? LetUsGetNerdy.com. There's show notes, fun facts, links, visuals, everything you need from today's show so you too can enjoy the episode. In case you missed anything, it's all there. All of your senses will be happy again. While you're there, feel free to subscribe via the web, Android, or iOS, whichever your heart desires. Feel free to continue the conversation on social media. After the show, beginning, whatever, hashtag, have some fun. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search us up. Let us get nerdy. It's that simple. All right, we stretched our thumbs, got our controllers and dice ready, got our beakers out. Let's get to it.
Yo, this is dirty.
Welcome. Happy Friday. Nerdy by Nature here with you. Got a few guests, mostly just one, but he counts as two people. Myself, Elijah here. Chris.
Hey.
With the branded cat shirt with the cat with tape glasses. You haven't worn that for a while.
I know.
This is like shirt number 20 to add to your cat shirt collection.
It's my favorite.
Have the you need a Twitter account or Instagram or something. That somebody pitched that to you before because
Yeah, I think they
you're
did.
going to the beer trips and there's ladies talking up the cat shirt and going, "Hey, where'd you get that?" "Sorry, I'm married." That was his instant line. Can't you just talk to women without instantly being married? I don't know.
He's just setting boundaries early, so
Yes,
they don't
that's important.
they don't fall in love with him, and then he has to hurt their hearts. And
Michelle will be proud of
He's
you
just
for
trying to
that.
let him
He's
down
like, "Thank you
gently."
for being faithful."
Yes.
He's like, "No problem, sweetheart." 14 years, piece of cake.
It's a bit more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
20?
don't you remember the online dating episode we did not too long ago? He talked about how long his
was like 2
relationship
weeks ago.
was.
But he just says it's just a number and brushes it off.
Okay,
and then
fine.
I don't pay
It's
attention.
just a number.
Okay, good. That's better. Nathan never argues, but you just explain why you're right. That's
Pretty much.
You don't need the 300 IQ for that T-shirt.
I don't even think it's possible to have 300 IQ,
You
but
could Blue Jays hat. It's possible.
well, I think that if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I think I just proved I don't have 300
You see
IQ.
what I'm picking up? You're taking it down or whatever that
Yeah,
expression
yeah.
is.
Oh, but the
That's
joys
nice.
of success are such sweet highs.
Yeah.
We had a year and a half of it.
Yeah.
The unusual trivia that Jamie brings out of left field is a little play on the baseball theme for you. Bringing out the dad jokes is for you, my man.
Oh, Elijah, you're not going to say go sports ball?
No, not today. We have Donald Duck and Scrooge McDuck to contend with. Not much more time for dad jokes. But today, you've guessed it, we're going back in time. To a great adventure. You have to watch behind you because something is always there. Nathan, you may know about this show 30 years ago that showed up on television.
You may.
Did you watch the comics?
Did I watch the comics?
Well, you don't listen to the comics.
I read some comics.
There we go.
I looked at some comics.
Do you just sift through the pages or did you let it sink in is what I'm getting at.
I don't. I'm still wrapping my head around how you watch comics, but I did enjoy the comics. I did enjoy the original show, and I must apologize. I was late today because I was watching the first part of the new show. I didn't realize the first episode was 40 minutes long, so
Really?
I was halfway through,
Not
and I was
including
like,
commercials.
this will be over any time now, and it just kept going, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go.
That's okay. You saw the part that mattered. The opening half is like the prologue, and I think the second half could have been episode 5 or 6.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but it's the opening prologue, which was... I know when I watched it, I was sitting on the edge of my couch with just this dumb grin the whole time. It's
Oh,
back.
wow.
Yeah, no, I gotta admit, I was definitely nervous when I heard they were redoing the show, because a lot of remakes lately have been less than stellar with movies and television and things like that. But
Whatever do you mean? Baywatch was stellar.
You watched it a remake?
Yeah,
Aw.
blink and you missed it. You blinked and you didn't miss anything.
There's some series about somebody trying to kill off the Hoff, and I got distracted, and I don't know what happened from there.
I just as a digression, I think the only Baywatch movie I ever wanted to see was the one they made for fun in Futurama, where they talked about how Pamela Anderson won an Oscar for the first movie shot entirely in slow motion.
With the drummer?
Wow, there's so much 90s in that one joke right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
Wrong video. Thought it was with the drummer in slow motion. Guess
No,
not.
no. It was just, riffing on the original Baywatch, how they always had those slow motion running down the beach scenes. So
Right.
imagine an entire Baywatch movie, just slow motion.
I was thinking about her movies that she made after the Baywatch.
Okay. Yep. We're going to move on. This
Barbed
is
Wire.
a child,
Yeah, we'll call it Barbed Wire.
friendly DuckTales
Trying
episode.
to pull Elijah back
Come
out
on.
of the muck.
Yeah,
Come on.
I'm following your digression a little too far. Let's go to the books.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know why you let off with me, because clearly I am out of my league here in terms of fandom. And so Jamie's the real DuckTales expert.
There's 3 layman's here to the DuckTales world, and then we have the super genius in the DuckTales
Yeah.
culture.
Maybe minor fan, but no, these
You have books that you brought with
Yeah,
you. Tell me
books,
about
like
them.
Seriously.
they're classic hardcover tomes that feature some of the earliest comics by Carl Barks of Donald and Scrooge.
I was looking through them. There's the sketches, there's full-out comics, there's a little bit of briefing, there's information, there's the whole gamut.
Well, Carl Barks is the artist and comic writer that essentially he didn't create Scrooge, but essentially brought him to popularity.
He started all this magic.
And it was his stories that got turned into the original DuckTales series.
And to push you a little further in your intelligence of the series, do you know who started this whole Donald Duck and Scrooge thing, or was it Carl that was credited to it?
Well, Donald was his own character long before. But when Carl got involved and popularized Scrooge by making him an adventurer, Scrooge's first appearance was actually as a jerk uncle that invited Donald and Huey, Dewey, and Louie to spend Christmas at his cabin in the woods,
Right.
and just tormented him the whole time. And then Barks picked him up and turned him into this adventurer in the mold of Teddy Roosevelt, going around the world, getting involved in different places, finding treasure, bringing it back, but always kept him centered on heart. And he wasn't there to steal. He was there to bring awareness and would actually, in most stories, side with whatever indigenous or local peoples that were involved.
It's kind of interesting for Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They're children in Duck World, and they're getting into these extraordinary adventures and somehow always figuring out how to use a compass
Junior
and
Woodchucks.
getting back.
They're the Junior Woodchuck guidebook to
Scout's Honor.
take them
Woodchucks.
forward. Has an answer to everything in the world.
I guess so.
And they got paid 30 cents an hour for their adventures.
Yeah, but basically, child labor laws, safety laws, child protection services obviously does not exist in Duck World. So that's
In Roosevelt's time,
Neither
that was
do
good
pants.
money.
yeah. Neither do pants, and that's okay.
Unless you're the dog characters.
Yeah, yeah.
What? It is
some
kind of
reason.
weird, isn't it? You're wearing shirts. You might have a hat if you're Donald, a blue hat, and then you have no pants.
Or you put a towel on when you come out of the shower.
Yeah, but you don't wear pants during the day.
Well, okay. To be fair, first off, they're clothed because they got all their feathers, and second off, have you tried to put pants on ducks? It's ridiculous.
You've tried?
How do they even stay up? How do they fit?
Yeah,
You can't do it.
I don't know if I've ever put that much thought into it, and I do like to think about things, as you know, but
Yeah.
it's beyond me.
What did you think of the first bit of the DuckTales reboot?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I guess I could say I'm a bit of a naysayer in that I don't really know if what is it, Miss Beasley's niece or daughter or
Candy
whatever,
Makuchi?
like if she is really necessary. But I think they're just trying to provide some role models for young girls or whatever, and that's okay. Like I'm okay with that. I just feel like sometimes things get shoehorned in that don't necessarily fit. Like it probably would have been made just as much sense if you just made Miss Beasley younger, and she went on the adventures with them or something like that. If you wanted like a female role model, because already I don't know, they decided they didn't want to make her fat, so instead they made her look like she's built like a brick house or something like that.
She's toned.
Yeah,
And they eliminated
Miss
Duckworth,
Beasley's-
the original
Yeah,
butler.
that's true.
Daisy came back as less girly, which is kind of nice. She's back in with the boys and having a good time and adventure and getting her feet wet, for lack of a better expression. So kind of a different spin on.
Well, no, I don't think that's actually Daisy, like Donald's girlfriend.
No,
Like,
she's not back
Oh,
yet.
the wrong
Yeah.
name.
This is
sorry.
Scrooge's housekeeper, Mrs. Beakley's daughter.
Beakley.
Daughter, niece, granddaughter.
Something.
Yeah, there's never any direct familial relationships in this world.
These names
Yeah.
are beyond me.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Webby, in the previous, she was always the little girl getting into trouble, and the boys were one character essentially multiplied by 3. So this time they've made Webby Gale much more adventurous.
That's who I'm thinking about.
Outgoing.
Yeah.
And then they made Huey, Dewey, and Louie each distinct with their personalities, and it looks like Dewey's actually going to be
Really?
the main one, just based on what they've done so far.
Huey was the main before?
Well,
they
only
just
because
kinda shared it?
Sync came for. Yeah, they were interchangeable. This time they've got Louie played by Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live, who's pretty much, if you've ever seen a Bobby Moynihan character on Saturday Night Live.
Over the top.
Yeah. Huey as much as Danny Pudi from
Community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the type A, analytical, prepared for everything. He'll be the one calling out the Junior Woodchuck guidebook. And then they made Dewey the angsty preteen that's pushing
Hormonal.
against the boundaries and needing to grow.
We don't need to know where north is, guys. Come on. That sort of thing.
See, I got to apologize. I completely forgot that Webby was in the original ones. I guess that shows how poorly developed of a character she was.
Oh, yeah.
So you just kind of
I'm back
blank
into
over
pop
it.
culture, Nathan.
But
There you go.
now you're all like, now I can remember because she used to be all like Unky Scrooge or whatever. Like,
Yeah, she's
totally girly,
kind of
yeah.
Always in
annoying.
distress, yeah.
So I guess it makes more sense to make her a more active participant. Although I do disagree. Like I feel like in the original material and the comics and things, Huey, Louie, and Dewey did have their own personalities. Or maybe I just described them their own personalities because I didn't think it was that much of a stretch or that much of a novel thing that they did with the different voice actors and everything. I would have said it was more of a stretch that they didn't like they dropped any of their kind of duck voice, you know what I mean? Like in the original stuff, they talked a little bit kind of like Donald Duck, but like a toned down, like a more intelligible version, right? Whereas now it's just pretty much their voices, right?
And Donald sticks out even more now that
Yeah.
he's there. And part of the show, whereas in the original he was shipped off to the Navy, whose Admiral Random Deep Cut Trivia was the voice of Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen.
Ah.
He also did one of the Beagle Boys. But anyway, Donald's back. That's what the first episode shows. He's going to be part of the adventures now.
Which I
Finally,
like,
yes.
because that was like the comics, right? Like the comics had him as part of the stuff, and then the original show was just like, he disappeared. And I think you lost something, because there is something about classic Donald Duck, like a lot of physical comedy, a lot of you can't really understand what he's saying, but it's hilarious.
Oh.
Like when he was
his
just
face
fighting
is
with
so
the
animated.
stapler.
Yeah.
Like, that's classic.
Yeah.
Donald Duck. It was perfect. I really enjoyed that little sequence.
Side gag in the latest episode, but that they called one of the bad characters something McStabberson. I just loved that. Like they turned Bodie McBoatface into a villain.
It's beautiful. This book you have, they're from Roosevelt era, but I found the Poor Old Man.
Only a poor old man. Yeah.
Karl Barks did that in the 50s. Is this something to do with these books, or are these books that you have in front of you the whole series? from start to
No.
finish?
The whole series would be a stack quite a bit
Okay.
taller than we're
He has
sitting.
a bunch of books.
They're available in trade paperback. My dad has them in his basement. I've read them many, many times.
So that's just part of the series, that if you will.
These are
books he wrote.
samplings, I guess, across the eras. It says I got to read that Scrooge book again, why he chose the stories that he did. Only a Poor Old Man, I think, is a story where the Beagle Boys actually succeed in stealing his 3 cubic acres of cash.
Wherever that's needs some mean storage.
That the bin sitting on top of Kill Motor Hill in Duckburg, which was originally titled Kill Mule Hill, because in the days before cars.
Sure.
Except in the new series, that's one of the changes I don't understand, is they put his money bin out on like a dock in the water.
I think it's on a little island.
Is it an island?
Yeah.
They should have called Chicago. They got enough space to help them out with some, storage.
You're doing callbacks to previous episodes.
Thank you for picking up what I'm putting down. The huge amount of acreage. If it's not water, you just store the coins in the water. They mix fine.
Is not Chicago. Sorry, that's a Soul Coffin reference, if anybody's familiar with that band.
Went over my head, but what a surprise. Your trivia is no other.
Now, Scrooge's money bin is probably going to be the focal point of many of the stories, because it'll be the Beagle Boys trying to steal the money, which 3 cubic acres of coins would not be an easy thing to move.
No, especially
But that's not even a smattering of Scrooge's fortune, because as he says in probably one of the stories in there, those coins represent what he actually earned with his own 2 hands.
I think you could give a little bit of charity, but every Christmas he fails to do so.
Exactly. It's the whole point.
See, I don't know. In the new show, I thought his money bin was a little low, so I wonder if he's going to part of the story is going to be filling that sucker up.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Could
Didn't you think it was pretty
It
far down?
wasn't up to the 99 foot gauge like it typically was.
Yeah.
Although I did enjoy how they reintroduced how he could swim in the money.
Yeah.
Only he can do
Was
that.
that part of the intro song where he's doing that?
Yep.
In the original? I remembered something. Brilliant. 30 years ago, it's coming up.
It's 1987, yeah. It was
It's September, early September.
I
It
think
was.
they premiered the movie. Well, the opening when it premiered a couple weeks ago was on the 30th anniversary
Yeah,
celebration.
they wanted to do the first on Disney XD or wherever it is on the anniversary.
that's the 23rd then. That's when it debuts.
23rd
Saturday the
of
23rd.
September. It'll debut.
Depending on when you're listening to this episode, could be tomorrow.
It could be in the past, present, or future. Just depends on Nathan.
What do you mean? It depends on me. You make the upload schedule as much as I do.
You producer. I'll give you credit for something.
Credit or blame, eh?
Yeah, I like credit. You have a bigger IQ than me. You can always explain why you're right, and it just confuses me.
I think you just set up like an episode down the road where we both take like an IQ test and compare the results, and I think it would be one of those great clickbait titles like they take an IQ test. The results might shock you.
And then we invite Maury Povich, and he can do the reveal.
No, I already know who my dad is.
There's
so
no
I don't-
paternity test.
I don't
involved.
need Maury
Yeah,
Povich.
yeah.
He's
It's
very
only for
good at
that
opening
test.
envelopes, though. I thought he'd be an
Oh,
expert. I
good
don't know.
point.
So as this is a nerdy podcast, I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts on one of the Doctors Who being Scrooge McDuck?
Awesome.
I love it.
Great.
He
Please.
has
Yes.
that presence, and it sounds like he's making Scrooge McDuck like his, like
Yeah.
he owns it.
I was sad last year when the original passed away because that was the voice, but almost immediately hearing David Tennant was
Yeah, no, you,
Oh,
you
yeah.
couldn't
good
hope for a
fit.
much better successor than maybe Sean Connery or something like that.
Yeah,
But I think Sean would bring a different
the game is wrong.
nuance.
Put Morgan Freeman in there, maybe. It just bring a whole new level. No,
No, I think that would just slow it all down. Like you'd just be all lethargic and lazy. Like
you just bring in a whole bunch of swear words and then sound cute and cuddly.
Morgan Freeman's like I don't know, like
this isn't Howard the
Velvet.
Duck.
Yeah.
Made a cameo in what, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 this summer?
Well, he technically made a cameo in both of them.
Oh, yeah.
The first one, he was a prisoner of the Collector. The second one, he was hanging out in some bar, we'll say.
Oh, that's right. With
How many
his-
seasons is this going to go, Jamie?
They've already renewed it for season 2.
Already?
It hasn't
Already.
debuted yet,
Is
yeah.
it going to go on Netflix?
Well, Disney
No,
just
yeah.
ended their contract. Well, it's trying to pull back from Netflix.
Disney just
so-
announced they're going to do their own stream service because what the world needs is another streaming service.
But that's where the money is. So what's going to happen is somebody's going to get the bright idea to aggregate all the streaming services, and then you're going to get to pick what you want to watch, and then it'll go get it for you. And
So,
then
isn't that
instead
kinda
of
like-
having the freedom to watch whatever's on, someone will say, "What if we just put the shows on at predetermined times?" And then I could watch that.
and then we come full circle.
Into
Yeah,
Cody.
right. Eh?
Oh.
I don't know. I think I'm going to present the anarchist view, which is all that's going to do is encourage streaming because Game of Thrones season 7 was downloaded more than 1 billion times
a billion
between
times
all
saw
the
that today.
episodes, and the actual airings set record highs for the network. So basically, it's proof in the pudding. If you put something good on television, people will pay for it, and even if people steal it, basically all you're doing is encouraging more people to pay for it, because how can you have 1 billion views and also record high ratings? That means the streaming didn't impact your audience at all. If anything, it grew your audience.
And they're willing to pay for it to support the Game
Yeah.
of Thrones show.
Yeah.
To keep it
so,
going.
So it's kind of one of those things where, the TV executives and networks and things need to shake their heads and be like, hey, why are we trying to charge twice for something essentially?
Right.
Let's just
Or you watch it once through cable or broadcast television, then you stream it later to socialize it with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
friends or to catch up on something, or you want a teaser because you're hardcore, and you put that out there, and then everybody will go, okay, I can't wait for this,
Mm-hmm.
and they get the hype up, and there you go.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened, right? So it's one of those things where basically if you have these companies splintering off, and I can appreciate, you don't want to give Netflix a bunch of money. Like, why do they deserve it more than someone else?
They
But
do
the-
have enough.
But the thing is you've essentially got a pre-existing customer base with television, satellite, cable, things like that. And it's like, why are you going to then create another service that people have to potentially pay more for? Because I don't see anyone being like, oh my gosh, Disney, I'm going to spend $10 a month for Disney all the time, 24/7, Disney.
Unless it's frozen on just a loop.
Yeah, exactly. Netflix worked because it had everything. It had a smattering of everything. So it was basically like on-demand television, right?
I think the secret unheralded of Netflix was their own content, but they made the kids section and just loaded it, because I can tell you how many people I know that they throw on the kids section.
Sure.
But you're right,
It's basically on-demand television.
There's more than enough in there, really.
no kidding. I remember signing up for Netflix when it first came to Canada, and I think they had 8 movies at the time, because it didn't matter what I watched. It always recommended, you'd like Pi. And it would put Pi into my queue. When, like, okay, I've seen Pi. You've recommended to me. I watched Labyrinth. That's maybe the 2 movies that you have. Amazing, like, going back and looking at how much the library's grown. And then you get frustrated when things disappear.
Yeah.
You start a Frasier journey, and then it gets pulled away from you. Now, digression about reboots. I know we're getting Will and Grace, and we're going to get Roseanne, but Frasier's the one we should be getting back.
That's a good show.
That
Yeah,
show
total.
would age beautifully.
Yeah. Except that
So DuckTales.
Scrooge, was he he earned his dime as a shoe shiner in Scotland?
He did.
Do you care to dive into Scrooge a little bit?
Yeah. So
Besides
recommendation.
he's grumpy and
There's
rich
a
and cheap.
12-issue series called The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck by Don Rosa, who was the successor to Karl Barks and essentially wrote a whole bunch of additional Scrooge and Donald stories. His artwork is hilarious. He was very good at the understated hilariousness of a still image. Teasing that out, but he wrote a series all about Scrooge, essentially from a kid to when he made his fortune, right up to the point where he becomes the uncle that invites Donald and the boys to Bear Mountain, even with a complete Citizen Kane reference. But
Pardon me for my ignorance, but paperback or comic book?
comic
hardcover?
book, you can get it in trade paperback, all 12 issues combined into one, pretty much on
or the
Amazon,
comics.
at Heroes here in London,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of places. But he set off on his own to make his money in Scotland, and he started. His dad gave him a shoe shine kit one day for his birthday and said, go out and make something of yourself.
Sure.
And then he told Bert the ditch digger to go be Scrooge's first customer, and Bert the ditch digger had mud like 3 inches thick caked on his boots. So Scrooge worked, and the comic does a great job of this. His tail feathers off, getting to the end of this and passed out, and Bert pays an American dime that his dad had given Bert to pay Scrooge.
Awesome.
So Scrooge learns the lesson that he worked hard, he got paid, except he got paid in useless currency. Like, what's he going to do with an American dime? And then he used that as inspiration to actually catch a boat to the States, and it took him a number of years even after he got to the States. So if you're into the DuckTales stories, what's interesting is one of the villains, Magica, is after Scrooge's #1 dime for its mystical properties. But the dime had nothing to do with his fortune. It was a symbol of the hard work he had to put in to earn anything.
It just give him that kind of taste, if you will, and that inspiration to go earn a tail feather.
So would you, just jumping into theory, would you say that dime has mystical powers because of all the hard work and sweat and devotion and energy that Scrooge imbued into it?
Potentially. Magica was always written as wanting the easy out and taking the dime to imbue it into an amulet to make her rich. But it was never mentioned that. So that's why Scrooge was always so weirded out by why people would want the dime. And then even one of the stories showcases he gets like a Lifestyles of Rich and Famous, and they're showing the dime as it's this big testament to his wealth, and it wasn't at all.
Well, it was and it wasn't, right? Like a lot of people, have that kind of habit of, framing their first dollar earned or the first paycheck or things like that. And so that dime, I think, attracted a lot of symbolism. And so if you believe in the philosophies that, symbolism and faith and that kind of, emotion and psychology can kind of imbue things with other worldly powers, then you could make the argument that it became a mystical artifact because everybody kind of believed it to be, mystical and containing powers, right? Like the power of belief is in a lot of fantasy and fiction and kind of cultures.
Good point. And as much as Scrooge downplayed it, he did keep it on a string in his pocket everywhere he went.
So it meant something to him.
No
Sure.
kidding.
In his life and times, there's a few instances where he struck it rich, but then something happened. Like the first money he makes in Mississippi, he immediately has to send it home to resave his family castle.
So basically, what you're saying is Scrooge McDuck is kind of like Disney's Donald Trump.
Oh, wouldn't call it that. Could not be further from ends of the spectrum.
Well, I mean, made a fortune, lost a fortune, made a fortune, lost a
It
fortune.
was only a small loan of $1 million.
Well,
Although I
Wasn't an
don't,
American dime.
American Dime in the 1930s or something was worth a little bit more.
one of
Sure.
them's fictional, and that same one cares about people.
Oh, zing!
Ba-dum-tsh.
Yeah.
Well played.
Did anyone play the original Nintendo DuckTales game?
For hours.
Anybody? Okay,
I
thank
did a
you.
little bit.
Yes.
I have the music in my head.
Yeah. I love that game. I played it a lot in the Nintendo when I was younger, and then so I was quite excited when they announced that they were doing a remake of it, updated graphics and things like that, and I got it. I haven't played it as much as I played the original, mainly because I find it's still really hard.
Very hard.
The original was very hard, and this one's hard, and I feel like I've lost a little bit of my gaming edge in the years since I was 12 years old.
Can you remember how many attempts you had trying to cane pogo stick across the meteors in the space level?
I honestly don't remember.
It's a lot of
I just
quarters.
remember it was hilarious that you went to the moon and for cheese.
Yep.
I mean, that's
You used to hit.
perfect.
You could hit cakes with your cane as projectiles, and the cakes would stay whole.
Yeah. And the little rump move that he does when he's winding up for hitting things with his cane. Yeah, it's perfect.
Chris, you done your retro console machine, arcade booth, whatever it is?
It sounds like I should probably make sure I
Yeah,
have this game
you
on.
gotta
include
hustle that.
DuckTales for
DuckTales.
Jamie and I. We would
DuckTales,
appreciate that.
With especially when you have the stick and the buttons.
Yeah.
You gotta smash the buttons
No.
for the cane.
D-pad, B&A.
I don't know, the arcade, it depends on the time, I guess.
Street Fighter, yeah, for the arcade. But
Fair.
Yes.
for
Yeah.
DuckTales, I like that square controller. Uncomfortable.
You bring out an N64 controller for DuckTales,
Ugh.
there's uncomfortable.
Oh,
I know.
yeah,
well, it
that
was
was
designed to
even
use
worse.
half of it.
Yeah, and then everybody used the full thing with their, and then you put your nose in the middle or something, and they couldn't figure it out. It was awful.
Okay, since we're on subject of ducks, what about Duck Hunt?
So I just have the dog laughing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say that's kind of rough.
With the N64 controller? I don't think so.
Oh, Zapper, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think that game
gun.
would be banned in Duckburg, that's for sure. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
That would be like that world's version of Grand Theft Auto or something like that. Like something that, parents are afraid for their children.
That's
Only the ducks
abomination.
could use boats.
Well, the irony is
Yeah.
that in Duck Hunt, it's the dog that you're using to help flush out the ducks. Like Duckburg in the whole world, there's either dogs or ducks. Those are the two species that live in harmony, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, so basically, it would be a game for dogs to take out their aggression
So
on ducks.
technically, what you're saying is Carl Barks should get royalties for Duck Hunt.
Well, I don't know about that.
Not quite too far.
Probably shed a tear when he saw that released.
Ah, fair.
Yeah.
This isn't the same.
DuckTales did introduce us to the false concept of lemmings jumping off a cliff, which actually doesn't happen.
Yeah?
Well, it's actually a Canadian nature film, but DuckTales ran with it too. Sorry, I'm looking at the book, The Lemming with the Locket, right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Those are amazing books. What do you want to happen? What do you want to happen, rather, Jamie, by the end of season 1? Whether it be Huey, Dewey, and Louie, or Scrooge, or to have Donald, or to even Webby.
I would say as long as they're just having adventures. That was the whole point of the story.
The everyday adventures,
Go
you
out and
call it.
explore the unknown.
Should we go in for the cheese, the moon? Are we going anywhere particular? Go back to Scotland, hang out there for a while?
Any and all.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You
As
just
long
wanna
as they're
see 'em.
finding something new.
Maybe north, if you want. What do you think, Nathan? You got into the first 40 minutes?
First 20, I got
Do you wanna-
another
do you
20
wanna-
to go.
Do you want to kill off any characters that drive you nuts?
No. I think it's one of those things that I appreciate getting my perspective checked, because here I was thinking this version of Webby is probably going to be, in the long run, less annoying than the original
Yes.
Webby was.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, so, I think it's a win-win.
I have one hope that they don't bring back Bubba Duck, because that was the end of, to me, the original series. He was a prehistoric cave duck kid they brought back. Although, and they've already committed to the new series that Darkwing Duck will be part of it,
No way.
which confirms that they are in the same universe.
Unfortunately, Mickey and Donald are not going to play nice, but I think that would just ruin the show.
Mickey has no place. Darkwing Duck, Gizmo Duck, voiced by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, Gizmo Duck would be cool.
Duck Dodger, he'd be good too. Maybe someday.
Duck Dodger. I'm not aware.
Well,
What?
Okay, you're crossing the streams there, buddy.
It's
That's
Disney-ish.
That's WB. Yeah.
Oh, same thing.
Nathan, what do you think of Launchpad, by the way? Is his weird, like, recovering 80s metalhead like a unique choice?
No, I mean it. I think it fit him spiritually, like because Launchpad was always a very skilled pilot, but very ditzy at the same time, like a bit of a scatterbrain. So him kind of being a little bit clueless, like at the end there when he's like pulls off that maneuver and then he's like turns back to talk to the kids. He's like, "Oh, the ground." That's so much Launchpad. Yep.
Another great SNL character actor, Beck Bennett, bringing him to life.
Yeah.
He's great. Well, it's going to be good times.
Yeah, they got a good voice cast, and so far it
decent.
seems like they got some good writers.
Well, what about the way it's drawn? Like, what comparatively to the '87 version? What do you think?
It's nowhere near as bright.
Yeah,
It seems to fit the times.
Yeah, some of the character designs are a little bit feel a bit off to me. Like the nephews, they're a little. I don't know what it is. Like maybe they're trying to give them like hairstyles or something like that. Just
Try to modernize them. Try too
Yes.
hard.
yeah.
Do you say there's too much, 15% edgy cute?
yeah, I guess need to dial that down a bit. But I don't think they're gonna
look like
worry
pop stars
about it.
now.
It's drawn very comic-like.
Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
that's what they're trying to do to get
Yeah.
back to the essence of 30 years
no,
ago.
I like it
Well, I think the new comics will be the same art style.
for sure. Well, that makes it easier.
timeless.
Branding.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, timeless. It's a good time. Good time is taking all of Jamie's advice, going back, seeing Uncle Scrooge and his Carl Barks' amazing adventures. Head over to letusgetnerdy.com. Check out all the show notes that we'll have for you. All the links to where all the good stuff should be, except for the money. We can't control that, but maybe someday we will. Money is good at patreon.com/nerdybynature. Throw us a few bucks if you don't mind. Great rewards there, including early access, shout outs to you, and being on episode of your choice. We'll pick the topic someday, work it out, and we'll all talk together just like we are now. It'll be good. But for now, myself, Nathan, Chris, Jamie, I think I forgot to say my name, Elijah. We're all here for you. Enjoy the weekend, open a cold one, and enjoy the comics of Donald Duck and Scrooge. See you soon. Well, like all good things, they must come to an end, my friends. Another show is in the books, and we had so much fun starting the weekend off right, just with you. Nerdy by Nature here with you, discovering the world around us, learning new things, and having a great conversation. Couldn't get to everything, though, in this episode, so please head over to letusgetnerdy.com, check out the show notes, the research, and all the extras. Just couldn't fit in today. While you're there, feel free to subscribe, Android or iOS. It's all good. If you want to say hi, leave a comment below the notes or click on Contact Us, whichever your heart desires. If you want to get crazy and social and right into it with us, please do. Head over to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, search up Let Us Get Nerdy, won't you? Hashtag, @mention us, say some cool stuff, or call us out. For Nerdy by Nature, thank you so much for listening. Take care.